or like library.
Do you like that I started recording as you were explaining something?
Yeah.
It's fine. You can edit it.
I can't. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna?
No.
All right. So this is the opening, I guess.
Wait, am I editing this?
Are you We were professionals.
We're professionals. I want to start over.
No. That's fine.
Okay.
Welcome to Cold Open.
Cold Open.
It's gonna be
Home of the Cold Open.
It's gonna be a show where my buddy Jade and I talk about.
That's Charles.
I am Charles.
He didn't introduce
I
himself.
was getting to it. Where we talk about movies, mostly, I imagine. I'm sure it's going to lead into other things because we're
It'll probably lead to other things in this episode.
I don't doubt it. The little test we did, we already got into comics. Because, I don't know, the first movie we're talking about is Spider-Man, 2002.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire. And Willem Dafoe.
Big ol' wiener.
We're
already PG-13.
I was going to get to that. But yeah, whatever. You'll get the idea. We're just going to talk about fucking movies. We just watched it. You watched it, what, 3 weeks ago?
I watched it, a month ago. And then we were like,
watched it again.
Let's do it on Spider-Man 1. I was like, well, I should watch it again.
So, I think I like this movie.
I
loved it as a kid, right? And it's been probably 10 years since I've seen it. And it's a really good comic book movie.
It is.
It's incredibly cheesy.
Like, there are moments when you get, like, if you freeze frame, it'd be like, that's a comic book panel. Like, you punch the guy and he goes flying into a wall. Like,
that's the thing. Every time someone gets punched, they fly straight back. They don't arch or anything.
No, there's no physics here.
Your favorite line. What's the fucking when he's talking to Green Goblin?
Impressive? Is that the one?
No,
I like that one a lot.
in the scene in the burning building. You're out of your mind.
Oh,
I can't remember the line before.
It's like, you're the one that's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
God, there's a lot of lines like that in this film. It's really cheesy.
It's just like the scene when Green Goblin, when Spider-Man punches him and he grabs it and just goes, impressive. That's a comic book panel. Like,
impressive.
Word for word.
Well, Spider-Man throws a punch at him and he grabs his head and goes, impressive, and then kicks him 40 feet.
The least impressive thing ever. It's like, oh, well, I caught it.
Also, something I noticed while we were watching it is that this movie came out in 2002, and I believe the first Matrix movie was 2001.
Yeah.
You could really see the influences.
It
cuts the slow-mo a lot during fights, and then there's even the scene when Green Goblin throws these blades at him, and
he's Neoing it really hard.
Really, really just a Neo move.
The CGI wasn't that bad, though. When I watched it like a month ago, I remember thinking, I was like, oh, it's not that great, but I also watched Lord of the Rings right before, and what's actually mind-boggling is Lord of the Rings came out in 2001, The Fellowship, and the CGI looks like phenomenal.
It does.
And
we already got Lord of the Rings.
Yes, well, there it is. But it was just weird. It's like, in that same area of time, the CGI difference was just so crazy. But it didn't really detract. There were a couple scenes where I was like, ew, that hasn't aged well.
There's one scene when he's running down the alleyway, changing.
And then at the end he jumps.
And it looks bad.
It's not great. It wasn't great.
Overall, it's fine.
It's all looked really good, like in the burning building when he's down doing the things. And
yeah.
Everything's moving around. There's a lot of motion, and the fire looks pretty good for 2002.
So I wanna say that Spider-Man is my favorite superhero.
Spider-Man's not mine.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But hang on. Spider-Man's great. And I have theories about why he's so popular. I think all the superheroes before him were like Superman and Batman and Iron Man, who are they're cool and they're great, but they're not really like an obtainable life.
Yeah.
Like you can't be Batman. You can't be a billionaire
and kill your parents.
And handsome and kill your parents. Same for
all your dreams.
Say for like Iron Man and Superman, they're like humans that are raised to such a high level that you can't really hope to be like them.
Tony Stark, he's a billionaire.
But Spider-Man was like the first hero who was just a guy, or the first big hero.
That was a smart guy.
Well, he was also a very smart guy, but he's just like a high school nerd. I don't know, that was so cool as a kid. Like, holy shit, he's just a nerd.
Who reads comic books, but nerds.
Yep.
It's like, oh, he's like me.
He's great. I do think this movie doesn't portray Peter Parker especially well. He is supposed to be like a mega nerd genius.
Yeah, they got the big dumb nerdo part, but he's not a genius. He's just a fucking nerd.
The only way they touch on it, they just have characters like, wow, Peter, I can't believe you're such a genius.
So you are very smart, Peter Parker.
They never really show him doing anything.
The next thing he does is just make some stupid comment, or just a face. Like, he just stares at them for, 30 seconds. And that's the shot. It's like, what a genius.
He's got like random science equipment in his room, but he never touches them once.
And it's like, there's the part when they're like, there's all those experiments in your room, and really all he did was draw things.
Yeah.
It was like, there wasn't really any experiments besides a broken lamp.
I remember that line, but it's weird when you don't see Peter actually doing anything scientific.
Yeah. And they're like,
you just have people telling the audience that he's smart. It's like, well, I guess.
He apparently works at Dr. Connor's class at some point.
Yeah.
But they
got a job there or something.
Yeah, but they never really elaborate. In fact, they don't elaborate on it until the next movie, I think.
Well, he got fired, so I mean, how...
Apparently, he got fired from that job we didn't know about. But
other characters, I think J. Jonah Jameson
is like
probably the best part of this movie.
I wanted to talk about, like, as far as casting goes for superhero movies, or just movies adaptations in general. There's a car alarm, but he was probably the most perfect casting.
J.K. Simmons, yeah,
just incredible. Like the one that they got in Amazing Spider-Man, it's like it's not even close.
Who was that?
It was.
I don't even remember.
I can't. It's exactly, you can't remember. But it was like J.K. Simmons. Like when I saw the posters for Whiplash and stuff, and it's J.K. Simmons, I was like, oh, it's J. Jonah Jameson. And I really hope that they keep J. Jonah out of Homecoming, because it's never gonna compare. And
it would be hard.
You're just gonna think about J.K. Simmons. You're like, this guy isn't J.K. Simmons.
I don't think it's nostalgia either, because looking back at this, there's a lot about this movie that's aged poorly and is just kind of weird. But his performance is so just perfect. Really, his comedic timing is great. Like he calls his assistant on the phone,
and then realizes he's in the room.
He's there, just instantly hangs up. And I forgot about this when before I watched it. There's a scene where Green Goblin grabs him. And it asks where the photographer is that takes pictures of Spider-Man. And he instantly covers for Peter.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They don't really call attention to it. But it's actually a decent...
Yeah.
It's a good kind of character building, I guess.
If he was just a piece of shit, he would have just been, oh, he's right behind me. He's literally right there. You can see him from the... Right there? But no, he covers.
So does he just genuinely hate Spider-Man? He's not a bad person. He just hates Spider-Man.
He just really hates him, like, a lot.
Also, I was waiting for that I want pictures of Spider-Man line. Is it not in this film? Is it in one of the other ones?
Might be in the second. I mean, he gets close to it, but yeah, maybe it's just a misquote.
I was wondering that, actually.
Like, in the Darth Vader scene, it's like, Luke, I am your father, but that's not the line.
It's not the line.
No.
Oh god, my roommate is cooking something.
It is.
I'm expecting the fire alarm to go off any second.
That'll be fine. Oh, it's great. He's just washing dishes. But anyway,
it's still got fire alarms to go off.
Since we touched on J. Jonah, we could talk about casting for everyone else.
Yeah.
Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire.
He's all right.
His acting really picks up in the second movie. The first one, he's not so great.
It's either crying or staring into the camera silently. Yeah.
Even just like when he's just in scenes, he looks really tired. He looks like James Franco, but without the talent. It's really not great.
He does look really tired the whole movie.
I mean, he does do a lot of things. Maybe that's what they were going for. Like, man, Peter Parker's up all nights being tired, and they didn't really explain it.
I guess.
Or maybe that's just what Tobey Maguire is. But he gets better. Spider-Man too.
He's definitely better later on.
But maybe he's getting into it.
He also I don't know. So going back to like you're saying casting. I think physically he's a good Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Just he looks like a fucking dweeb.
Especially in the beginning with the glasses.
And I think comparing this movie to Amazing Spider-Man is just gonna happen. I was trying to fight it, but it's gonna happen.
It's not.
Okay, so
you can't.
Andrew Garfield is a beautiful man. He's very attractive.
He's not a Peter Parker.
He's not a Peter Parker. He's like this cool skateboarding guy with great hair.
Ah, you fucking nerd.
There's that scene where he's getting bullied by Flash Thompson, and I'm like, this kid has no friends at all.
This guy
is like a model.
It
makes a bit more sense when Tobey Maguire is getting picked on.
You can definitely see.
Oh my god,
he probably did get picked on a lot.
Speaking of Peter Parker getting bullied, there's this scene in this movie, and I'd forgotten how bad it was when Peter first starts using his powers against Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
and he shoots webs 30 feet across the cafeteria.
He sure does.
And Then next week, when Spider-Man shows up and starts saving people,
no
one makes a connection.
Nobody. It's man.
And
remember when Peter did that thing? I wonder if he's Spider. No, that's weird.
Right after that, they're in the hallway, and he does like a triple backflip from standing still, and then punches Flash.
And he flies like at 50 feet and gets more food dumped on him.
He's having a bad day.
He should probably stay away from food forever.
But like, it's how did no one make that connection?
It's one of those things. It's like Clark Kent. Like, are you kidding me? He'll write an article about Superman with his face on it. It's like
no one notices.
Right there. But no, it's the scene was a little bit over the top. I think they could have done a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he had no idea what his powers were at that point, so he was just kind of going for it.
So he accidentally did a triple backflip?
I guess. He was like, man, I gotta jump. And he flipped.
Way too much.
He could have just jumped. I don't know.
The other thing that, one adaptation that I don't think I'll ever be okay with in this trilogy of movies is the fact that his webbing is organic.
It's really gross.
It's fucking disgusting. There goes our PG rating or whatever it was.
Or our PG rating. I don't think we were ever gonna have anything close to a PG rating.
Ass. There we go.
I got
it out of the way.
I'm not gonna edit it. It's all staying in, even our shitty opening.
There it is.
That I'm leaving that in.
Good. I can see it.
I can see it too. I'll know exactly where it is. It's like, look, it's that giant Loch Ness monster sound recording.
Anyway, organic webbing is disgusting.
It's gross.
In the comics, I think it's neat that he makes web shooters, and it's always this kind of callback to the fact that he's really smart too. He made, I don't know, an addition to his powers through technological means, and the movie just kind of shoots it out of his arms. It's so gross.
There's that exposition, that like not so subtle exposition where it's like, look at all these spiders. This one has a spider sense.
Yeah.
This one can shoot webs that are really
this
strong.
One can jump.
And then we
fused them all together.
We glued them into one. Oh, it's missing.
Yeah. Mary Jane's like, hey, one's missing, and she's like, that's okay.
They're fine.
It's like, I imagine those are expensive. You should probably care a bit.
Cost a couple $1 million. It's fine. We've got the budget.
And then Peter gets bit, and he doesn't tell anyone, which I find a bit weird. Like, he doesn't know he's going to become Spider-Man at this point.
He's got a big gross thing on his hand. You think, like, Harry would have been like, dude, what's that gross bite on your arm?
No, he's just like, I'm going to go to bed and die now.
And then there's, like, an audible thud when he falls off his bed, and Aunt May and Uncle Ben down there are like, he's fine. Teenagers, right? They check on him in the morning.
Let's talk about Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is a Green Goblin.
I think
he's super great.
I think he's pretty great. His voice is so good coming through the Goblin mask.
Yep. And I think they did a good job with the like alternate. Like his voice is really. They amped it up to like they when you do something like that when you have two personalities. And you're trying to show a difference, they really ham up the acting.
Yeah. Like,
evil Willem Dafoe is really different from, like, the normal guy where he sounds all sad and pitiful. So, it helps so that you can keep track of who's in control.
Yeah.
I did quotation marks on the podcast.
I'm sure everyone saw it.
I'm sure.
So, a complaint I have with, like, other Marvel films is most villains have the same powers as the hero.
Yeah.
Right? So in the Hulk movie, he fought the Abomination. Iron Man fought a bigger Iron Man.
Yeah.
What else? Captain America fought Red Skull, but
it's
still
like
the origin of their powers was
pretty much the same.
Something I like about this movie is that Green Goblin's origin of his powers has nothing to do with Peter Parker.
Nope. He's his own thing.
And I think the reason it works, even in terms of pacing, is that it happens at roughly the same time. So you don't have like a half-hour introduction to Peter Parker and then get his powers and then see it happen to Norman Osborn. It's actually happening like parallel. In fact, I think, like I said, they even get their powers the same night.
Yep.
So it's the same
shitty pun. It's the web of fate.
It's the same kind of tone in a scene going right to the next scene of just this is someone getting their powers, and I think it works well.
Plus, it does tie them together. Like one thing I really liked about this movie, and I think Iron Man 1 took a lot of inspiration from this because it was very intimate. Like Peter Parker's motivations for becoming Spider-Man were very personal, and even
what do you mean?
Like he wanted to become Spider-Man because he realized he morally fucked up. Same with Iron Man. And another thing is that what I actually kind of like is that the villain didn't have a big giant grand. Your laptop really lit up, but it didn't have like a grand scheme. Like he didn't want to conquer New York. He didn't want to conquer the world. He just wanted to get back at the people that fucked him over.
That's true.
And
laptop. Okay,
oh no,
went dark.
It's in Iron Man's pretty much the same thing. You know, Obadiah was really mad at Tony for fucking him over. And they feel really intimate, and that kind of brings you into it because you know the things like with Thor, where it's just so grand scale. Like Thor 1 was just huge. You've got Asgard, brand new area, and then he's on Earth now, and it wasn't so personal because Loki's just I want to take over Asgard. That's the whole thing, and Spider-Man 1 and Iron Man 1 feel really compact, and the motivations for everyone doing their thing are intertwined really well. I liked it.
I think I get what you're saying. Like Green Goblin doesn't really drag too many other people.
He's just like, I want to get back at these people who were going to fuck my company over. And
the thing is, it's honestly not a bad motivation.
No,
because
it's pretty good.
He makes this company himself. And they just sell it. Like
yep.
He goes through things like what the company's about to like lose out to this other company.
Yeah, because they based all of the entire company on one military contract.
Yeah,
apparently.
There's this shot of like this huge huge
company, plant.
This big power plant or whatever, and they all work on one formula.
They made one vial.
It was
very good vial though, and then he broke it.
Green Goblin goes through all this trouble of like sabotaging this other company project, and then his own board of executives still sell the company.
Trying to fuck him over, so he murders them. It's like
it's not that bad of a motivation, honestly.
He didn't want to rule the world. He just getting back at people. It was pretty good. You know, Spider-Man. Everyone's tied together really well. Yeah, it was nice. I liked it, and I could see why Iron Man 1. Might have taken a little bit of inspiration from that. You know, it's a good origin story. Keep everyone grounded.
Something I want to touch on is the score.
It's pretty good.
I mean, that's about all I can say. It's not like amazing. It's not amazing
or spectacular or superior.
Go on.
Or the other adjectives.
Ultimate. That's about it. Anyway, it does its job. It's a Danny Elfman score.
Yeah, it did exactly
the main one, the opening one, which I'm not going to try to replicate because it's all violins.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It sounds heroic and also kind of sad at points, and it's great. Yeah,
it was. Remember the opening narration that was really bad? It was like,
I was going to talk
if you think this story's going to be a good one,
someone lied to you, or
something
like that.
And it's like, dude, you get beaten up by a man in a green suit. No,
it's not that bad.
This isn't The Dark Knight. It's so weird.
If someone told you my life was a happy tale.
If someone lied.
Well, they lied to you. That's going to sound really good. I didn't like that at all.
It's super mad. It's just a blob.
I don't even know if that's going to be like... I'm be able to tell what I said there.
Well, when you send it to me, I'll tell you. It'll be like, it sounds awful.
It's actually
not editing it.
The movie ends with a closing narration too.
It does, and that one was better.
Don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
There's something like, I wish I could tell her I love her.
It's something,
but I can't
with
because
great power.
Also,
great response.
We talk about the fact that he kept his word to a maniacal madman.
He did.
So right before
the green meanie, you mean?
Oh, the green was it green meanie or green?
The green meanie.
Oh boy,
it's like Green Goblin or Green Meanie.
Can we talk about the fact? So like, when Green Goblin is about to die, he just got impaled with his own glider or whatever. It's just like, don't tell Harry, and he's just like.
It kind of fits because I remember in Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man did another stupid thing and he let a criminal go. Maybe he just really likes criminals.
Dude, but why did he have to?
He's practically a criminal. He murdered that guy.
There's no reason he couldn't have told Harry. Listen, so your dad was fucking evil.
Let's talk about something else. He stripped Norman Osborn out of his armor.
I mean, he might have probably had clothes underneath.
But still, it's just, what did he do with the stuff? The butler has it. But from where?
Oh, that's true. In Spider-Man 3, it's just like in a secret room.
He has it. But
did Spider-Man put it in a secret room?
He's like, hold on, before you die, where's your secret room? I gotta put it back. Harry can't know. I gotta honor your promise, dude. Shit, the butler saw me.
It doesn't bother you that he he listens to the request of this crazy guy. Don't tell my son. It's like, dude, no, I'm gonna tell him.
Super tell him. I'm gonna tell everyone you were awful.
You killed people. Like,
also,
no.
Yeah, and I guess Harry inherits Osborn. I don't think the movies really touch on that. Past this.
What?
I guess Harry. Like, what happens to Oscorp?
I don't know.
I don't know. I would say that Harry inherits it and Harry's it.
Oh, stop.
But
I feel like they might touch on it. I don't remember.
I can't remember. But the board, kind of kicked Norman Osborn out. But I don't know if they were able to finalize it before they got murdered.
That's true. They did get murdered.
Really hard. This is the same man that Spider-Man was like, yeah, okay, I'll honor your request. Be mean not to. Multiple people coughing in your house.
There are.
I don't know if that picked up on the microphone or not. But so back to casting that we took that little detour from. Mary Jane, who's very supple.
Oh, boy.
She's really good at screaming and not wearing a bra.
She screams so goddamn and not wearing a bra. She
really
screams
good at it.
so goddamn much in this movie.
She does. It's just half of her dialogue. I can see the little like in brackets on the bottom of the screen screaming. That's all she does.
I'm pretty sure that's all she does in the next two films too.
Pretty sure. There's a little bit in this, there's a lot of whining in the later movies. Like, why don't you spend time with me even though I know you're Spider-Man and you're saving lives? Come see my Broadway play that apparently I'm terrible in. Remember that side plot?
Was she terrible? Oh,
yeah.
the
remember
critics didn't like her.
Yeah, everyone hated her.
And Peter doesn't show. I don't remember.
Kirsten Dunst.
There's another scene I want to talk about where Aunt May gets attacked by the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
So she's recovering in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mary Jane shows up.
Yeah.
And her and Peter have this moment. He's talking to her. And they hold hands. And then Harry walks in.
And he
assumes they're in love.
Also, just Spider-Man's reply of, hey.
Hey.
What's up?
But just the fact that he goes to him to his dad's like, she's in love with him.
It's like, dude, his aunt's dying. There's probably just like, sorry, your aunt is dying.
Let me hold your hand to comfort you. You didn't walk in on them
fucking each other.
They're making out in front of me, Dan.
Superman.
I wish someone would blow them up with a glider.
Wink. Get the butler on it.
Oh my god. No, I'm surprised actually. Like recast the same butler for the next couple films.
Because he had one scene.
He had one scene,
and
I had
thought
to bring it back.
He was bigger, but well, I'm sure he's not doing anything else.
He's probably dead.
Look at his IMDb profile. It's probably just Butler and Spider-Man 1 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, he was old then.
He was really old.
That was 10 years ago.
I really like this Aunt May. I'll say that about casting.
She is very sweet.
She's very sweet. Very old.
She's
very
like
not attractive compared to the new one.
I don't even know her name or the actress's name. But
she's probably dead.
She's probably dead.
The one in Civil War is very attractive, and this one's she's an old lady. She feels like they were just like, who feels like everyone's grandma at once, and then they just cast her, and it works.
I'm glad we had no rules for what to discuss, because here I am discussing Spider-Man 2. There's this scene in that film where she clearly knows he's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, oh god, I'm gonna butcher it if I try to like summarize it. But she's just talking about how maybe we need a Spider-Man. And
yeah, winky face.
It's such a sweet scene.
Peter, Spider-Man. And who else was in this movie that we could talk about casting for? Oh, Harry, James Franco before he became like huge.
He's all right.
He
doesn't really have a lot of scenes.
This is really early in his career though too. Before like around Pineapple Express when he exploded.
That was
I remember
2006 that came out.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 was around the same time, and I remember everyone being really excited that he was in it. And I was like, he was in the other ones. You just didn't know who he was.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't have like a bad performance or a good performance.
No, he's just kind of broody.
He is broody.
I don't know. He's just angry a lot.
He doesn't do much of anything.
He's like, Peter, you should talk to her, Mary Jane, and he's like, no, you do it, and then he does it and ends up getting her, and Peter's like, how could this happen? Darn. But yeah, there's he did an all right job. He did all right. Pretty much everyone did okay. I mean, MJ was screaming. She's really good at screaming.
But that's just her
That's
lines.
just MJ though. Remember that comic I gave you?
I don't want to. What the fuck was the comic called? It was called Spider-Man Loves MJ.
Yeah, Spider-Man's in love with Mary Jane.
It's literally a comic about.
And I gave you number 17.
Good place to start.
I couldn't find
it really picks up
one.
I believe that comic was about. I read it once. It's just like high school drama, and that's it.
Yeah, it looked like an anime. That's why I got it.
Peter tells Gwen Stacy that he's Spider-Man, and she instantly tells like 6 people, and he's like, "The fuck? Could you not?"
Oops.
And he's in the Spider-Man costume for a grand total of about 5 panels.
Listen, you came there for drama, right? You
I
don't want
really
Spider-Man
super
things.
didn't.
Oh. I mean, you didn't really come there for anything. I just sort of gave it to you.
Just kind of gave it to me.
Because it looked like an anime, so I knew you would love it.
What'd you fucking call me?
Uncle Ben. He was alive for 20 minutes.
Sure.
I think. Then he died.
He was also just kind of okay. I don't know. No one had a...
He did all right.
The only performance I think was like stellar was J.K. Simmons. He's perfect.
Willem Dafoe did really good.
All right. Yeah, he was pretty good. Everyone else is just kind of okay.
Yeah, I agree. No one was terrible.
Even Tobey Maguire was just kind of eh.
He really picks up later. But this one, he was just, I don't know, he stood around a lot. But, that's Peter Parker, that's what he does, right?
I guess so.
Oh, and there's Bonesaw. How do you think Bonesaw did?
Is that you really asking me?
Yeah, how do you think Hulk Hogan did as Bonesaw? Bonesaw McGraw.
I think he's probably dead. I think Peter killed him.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say Hulk Hogan is not dead. Thank you. He just won a lawsuit. I keep up on the daily events of Hulk Hogan.
Do you?
Yeah.
What was the lawsuit about?
It was against Gawker because
what the fuck is Gawker?
Kotaku and stuff like that. They made an article because he had a sex tape. I don't know if you knew this. Hulk Hogan has a sex tape.
I did.
Well, he does. And they hosted it on their website. And he said, take it down. And they said to a judge, no. And then got sued years later and lost. I wonder why. But yeah, that's a real thing that happened.
I love that people assume they can do what they want with celebrities just because they're celebrities.
A judge told them, take it down.
Nah.
And they just said no. It's like...
That's pretty...
If you listen to anyone, probably a judge.
Probably.
Judge, policeman, Spider-Man, a guy with a gun.
I feel like at this point the damage is probably done, though.
Yeah.
Like the sex tape, I'm sure it's fucking everywhere. I'm sure you could find it elsewhere.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, it's but anyway, Bonesaw, that scene, that whole scene.
Spider-Man.
I love it. I love that scene a lot. This is so cheesy. You get this cage match with Bonesaw McGraw.
Well, is he a real wrestler?
Hulk Hogan?
No. Yeah, I know Hulk Hogan is. No, Bonesaw.
I don't know. You're the Spider-Man guy. I don't know Spider-Man.
No, I meant like in real life. Is Bonesaw a real wrestler?
I think because Hulk Hogan's Hulk Hogan, so I think they just kind of had him. What are you talking about?
Is Hulk Hogan in this movie?
Yeah, he's Bonesaw McGraw, dude.
No, he's not.
Who's that? Oh, is that the one that did die? What's his name? The guy that did Slim Jims. Macho Man Randy Savage. That's the one.
Was Bonesaw Randy Savage?
Yeah, he was one of them. I can never get them apart because they have the same voice.
Probably, it looks like him actually.
Yeah, it is actually Macho Man. He died. Rip Bonesaw.
I wondered why you kept talking about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I get them mixed up a lot.
It's okay. They were BFFs.
Macho Man did not win a lawsuit. In fact, he died.
Yeah, he died the day of the rapture. Did you know that?
That's right, he did.
He died saving us.
He saved these wrestling people in space now. Those Mayan
He's in a better place.
Things. But yeah, that whole scene, it's beautiful. And I think we touched on that when we were watching it. When he was like, "Nice costumes, your husband give it to you." Like, you just called him gay.
You can't say that.
Can you imagine today? Like if someone tried to make that joke
in one of the movies,
like an innocent.
Did your husband give that costume?
Are you gay?
That is basically what he's saying.
It's super early 2000s, so I mean you can't do that shit anymore.
And then just what if he was just like, yes. Actually,
it's like, what, dude? I am gay.
Bet you feel like a dick
I didn't
now.
want them to know. This is the early 2000s. It's not acceptable.
Something you were talking about is if you look for it, there's a lot of strong like post 9/11.
Oh yeah,
New York United vibe.
Yep.
I think even in the other films, in fact, all the Spider-Man films,
they
all have these scenes of like New Yorkers.
New Yorkers stand together.
There's a scene when Goblin is terrorizing some kids on the side of a bridge, and then just a bunch of New Yorkers start throwing shit at him, and one's like, "Hey, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us." And it's like, okay,
yeah. And then there's the scene at the end when he clings to the American flag on the Empire
that's
State
the last
Building.
shot of the whole film.
Yeah.
He stands on American flag. In case you forgot where the movie took place.
This is in New York. New York. I forgot. What about the casting of Flash Thompson? What about that?
He looked like he was 40 years old.
He looked really old.
He was so goddamn old.
What I kind of like though is you're talking earlier in the podcast about how superheroes are typically that the really buff guy.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of like a nice first blood for Spider-Man. Just beat the shit out of him. Because that is Flash Thompson's he's the Wolverine Superman kind of body type of just big muscle man.
He is.
And he gets his butt kicked.
I mean, that's kind of why I like Spider-Man. Even in Civil War, they pulled this off where he's about a head shorter than everyone else, and he looks scrawny. I don't know. I like the fact that he's usually just this teenage schmuck.
Oh, for sure.
Even Tobey Maguire, he looks 30 in this film.
Yeah, but at least he looks like a fucking dweeb.
That's true.
There's the scene in Amazing Spider-Man 1 that really gets me is when he's like practicing skateboarding in a fucking warehouse. Like, dude, you're 35. You're not cool. You can't skateboard at 35 and look cool unless you're Tony Hawk. And I don't even know if he's alive. Rocket power.
I have high hopes for Tom. Fuck, what's his name?
Holland. Yeah.
Holland.
I think.
Let's go with that.
I have high hopes for his aunt.
The new actor. The new actor who's playing Spider-Man, because Tobey Maguire is the perfect nerd.
He's a perfect Peter Parker.
Andrew Garfield was like the perfect Spider-Man.
I agree.
Because he's really cocky and funny and just charming.
And glued them together.
So, just rub them together.
Rub.
And you'll get nerdy and cocky. Which, I mean, that's just how Spider-Man works.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland.
I think that's what it is.
Something like that.
I don't know.
He does great in Civil War.
He does.
We're talking about Civil War now, apparently.
Well, I think we talked about it earlier.
We did.
I don't know. But
I have hopes for him. I want to see what else he does in Homecoming.
Tobey Maguire really struggled in this one, I think, with Spider-Maning, like his quips and stuff. Like when he's trying to sass people in suit, and they just sounded really lame.
He doesn't have a lot of those.
He's monotonous, or not monotonous, monotone.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of quips, and when he does, they're a bit awkward.
It's like, you're the one that's out, Gobby, out of your mind.
Oh, boy.
Like that one.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Classic. Like that one's like such a stretch.
It's really bad. It's like, you're out, Spider-Man.
And then he calls a guy gay.
Classic Spider-Man. You're fucking gay.
Classic homophobic Spider-Man. There he is.
He just walks up to, I don't know, what's a Iceman.
He just goes up to
hey, Iceman.
What are you, gay?
You're gay.
Like,
and he's like,
I am.
I am.
It's like,
did you not read the comics? It's like, shit.
I'm sorry.
When did that happen? Pretty sure it's like, he just watched X-Men 1 when he was dating like 3 girls at once. He was like, oh, that was a shock.
Oh boy.
Shocker.
Dazzler never showed up in X-Men Apocalypse.
Shocker or Iceman?
Dazzler.
Iceman was not in there. Well, he's young. He's supposed to be young.
That's true. He was like high school age.
Colossus wasn't around. But I think,
welcome to the Marvel podcast.
And welcome to actually, that's Fox now. It's not even Marvel anymore. Well, this is Sony, technically. Spider-Man 1 is Sony. Let's talk about other Sony superheroes.
Is there any?
I think all they have is Spider-Man, yeah.
Well,
okay, let's talk about Venom. No, let's...
oh my god! They're still making a Venom movie, I think.
Do you think they'll cast someone that weighs more than 90 pounds?
Oh my god, Topher Grace as Venom. Eddie Brock is meant to be this
we'll
bodybuilder.
We'll get to that.
Are we gonna watch the other two at some point?
Yeah, I'll have to watch Spider-Man 3 again. But I'll get to watch Spider-Man 2 again. It's worth it.
I think 2 is probably my favorite.
Oh, it's the best. Butterfingers. We could talk about... we already talked about casting. Let's talk about the action scenes. The way he fought. I think... especially in the one where he's rescuing Mary Jane from the menagerie of rapists.
Oh boy!
And when he's fighting, and it's really fast and really fluid and really it's goofy looking. But I mean, it's Spider-Man.
I actually like that scene when he's fighting them.
It's really good.
There's this cool shot where he like I don't know, pulls both his fists back to punch someone, and there's a bunch of water that splashes up as he does it. It looks fucking cool.
And it's like, you know, there's like I really like the way they utilize his webs. Like, you know, he punches Willem Dafoe later, and then whips him back. And
I was
punches
about to
him
talk
again.
about that
It's
when he punches in the air and pulls him right back down. I think like, that's
really
part of
cool.
the reason why I like Spider-Man. His powers allow for such a cool and
We've been talking
unique...
for 34 minutes already.
We should have. His powers allow for such a cool and unique like fighting style.
Yeah.
Just like mostly when he's like punching people and pulling people back, and he can bounce around walls. He's like perfectly suited to be an action hero.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like other superheroes, you know, they punch someone and then they have to like run after them to punch them again. And it's pretty much, you know, like Superman, you punch a person into a wall and then you fly after them and punch them through the wall.
Yeah. I mean, that looks cool too, but I
yeah.
think Spider-Man certainly is a very unique...
Yeah, and I think they captured it pretty well in this one.
Yeah.
For the
definitely,
most part.
it definitely does feel like the start of a trilogy.
Yeah.
2
you know,
gets a lot better in a lot of ways.
They probably also didn't have the biggest budget, considering it was like a kind of a new deal. Superhero movies, this was really the first big one, I think.
When did X-Men come out?
X-Men was after, I think.
It's
pretty
2003
quickly
or
after.
4, I feel like.
I can find out. But
yeah,
I think so. I think it's a little bit
It was
after.
about the first big like Hollywood summer superhero blockbuster movie. What year was
2000. Okay.
Wait, before?
Yeah.
Huh?
So that's weird. I don't know. Like, but together, I mean, because they were probably in production around the same time. Because I know that this one was caught in kind of like a development limbo for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and because they were dealing with getting the rights from Marvel and all that. Yeah, and so it's just
glad that never stopped.
X-Men was kind of the same way though. It was really goofy too, and I kind of miss that actually. They're both really. What happens?
You know what? I was gonna fucking say that. You know what happens when it's
the same thing as everything else.
It's like, well, why'd you even?
It's really good. It's really good. Good line, dude.
It's like so close to being badass, and there's just
it's so close because you're like, what happens? Oh, same thing as okay. Yep.
Everything. What about like the ground? Like,
what about the ground? What about rubber?
Rubber.
Yeah, what about Pikachu? You just zap him with lightning.
Not much.
No, not much.
You know what I miss? Being able to breathe.
I bet.
I miss that. You know.
So does Uncle Ben. He misses that too.
Oh, too soon.
The death scene was pretty good. Like when he doesn't have like a monologue. You know, like he's not like remember Peter.
That's true.
With great power. He's just crying and says Peter, and it's like, oh God, this is.
Is that all he says?
Yes, he just says Peter like twice, and he's crying.
I remember being glad he doesn't grab him and go like, Peter, remember what I told you? With great power. He's just like, oh,
I got shot. I can't remember what the Ben death scene was like in Amazing Spider-Man. Didn't he have kind of a monologue?
I feel like he does.
I think they did. I think that's why I'm thankful in this one that there's not, because it's stupid.
I don't like that in
Death monologues are really lame. It's like it's like you're dying. There's a lot of blood, and you're gonna lecture me on morality.
I like it more when they just.
How about call a hospital?
I feel like it's more impactful if they don't get to have last words.
Especially if you're like, man, he just cries and says Peter, and especially after the last scene when you're not my dad.
Stop trying to be like my dad.
He just drives off sobbing. Yeah, so I think that was pretty well done, and they didn't shove with great power comes great responsibility. I think they only say it twice, when Ben says it and then at the end.
I'm not even sure that if Peter says it. Does he say it at the end?
Yeah, he does. At the very end, he says, with great power comes great responsibility. But
he only touches on it at another point when he says, like, he told me something that I threw back in his face. And
yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad they don't really hammer that in.
Yeah.
I would complain and say that, just talk about cliches.
Yeah.
There's a couple. The mad scientist who has to use his science on himself.
Yeah, we talked about that where he the one guy he gets to help out is the guy that was super against using it in any way.
Yep. He was like, we need to go back to formula. And then he's like, hey, do you want to help me eject myself?
Sure, dude.
Like, that sounds great. You definitely won't throw me through a window.
Yeah, especially because earlier Willem Dafoe's character says that the rest of the board was on board. Yeah, except for this guy. And it's like, why not grab one of them?
Do you know why? Do you want to know why?
Because
that guy had a line.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he threw it back at him and he's like, back to formula. And then he threw him through a window.
Do you think
Actually,
that's
no,
why-
it was after.
Do you think that's why he brought him? He just wanted to throw that line back
He
in his
wanted-
face.
he's
as
like,
he
I'm gonna
killed
go
him.
nuts and I'm gonna wreck this guy really hard. And just throw him through a window.
I'm trying to think if there's any other like kind of glaring problems. I don't think there's any like
Not
glaring.
really. It's
No huge
a
problems.
lot of it's age. I mean, you can like
That's
when you
true.
watch an '80s movie, there are things where you're like, "Oh God, this is really." Whew. But at the time, I mean, it's just kind of it's really cheesy stuff. But I mean, it's just an older
Something
movie.
that kind of started to bug me is how much Spider-Man goes woohoo as
Woohoo!
as he's webbing around.
To be fair, if you could do that, you probably woohoo too.
it looks fun, but like
It was
every
really
time.
fun. Every time, especially when people can see him, then he really has to woohoo. It's like, look at me, I'm woohooing.
So if he's got organic webbing, is there
Ugh.
is there a limit? There's got to be a limit, right?
I don't think we touched on the fact that he feels tension.
Oh, he must, right? So like
It's-
if he connects to something.
Ugh.
And he when he pulls himself in, he's got to feel it like
Especially-
what's it attached to?
You know the part when he stretches backwards to slingshot himself?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's just pulling stuff out of your arm. Unless, and the only thing I can think of is that he severs it and holds it. Because in Spider-Man 2, he does that. He holds onto the web itself.
Yeah.
So maybe he just disconnects it. But
it's still gross.
if not, ew. And also if, ew. And ow.
It's something like that scene when he's trying to shoot his web for the first time. That's
It's
pretty
really
funny.
good.
He does like a thumbs
He
up.
does like
and a-
different in the rocker. The
Yeah.
rocker symbol. Yeah.
But they offer no explanation as to how the signature hand.
Yeah, I guess he's
Can do
just
it.
trying different things and why, but it's down here. It's in his wrist,
It's awfully,
and he presses his
it just
palm.
feels awfully forced. It's like, oh, I can only do it when I do this exact.
Haha.
Wait,
they
but he
don't
didn't do
explain
that
why.
in the cafeteria scene, did he?
I don't think. Yeah, you're right.
He
But
just
maybe
shot
it
it
was just because it
accidentally.
was developing, and like when you
Fucking sneezed it
puberty, dude. Accidentally shot one off.
out. I don't know. I find it a bit weird that
It was weird.
it feels forced that he's just like, I can only shoot it when I'm making this hand movement. Because in the comics, he designs the web shooters so that when he does that,
yeah,
they'll shoot webs. And
but could you
not
imagine
when he does a fist?
if they didn't do the iconic thing? People.
No,
would
I mean,
have-
I'd be pissed. I just
Gotcha.
feel like
yeah,
there's easier ways they could have done it, like giving him goddamn web shooters.
giving them those. But then I don't know that. I think they really just wanted to hammer out the origin part as fast as possible. And if they had to do "he's a genius," thing, it would have taken a lot more time to really develop
not
that.
Really, they could have just
That's
showed
true.
like in his introductory scenes, it shows him getting like hit in the head, right? I think it was saying that. Just scenes where he's getting bullied. Have it be he's working on a really important science project, and then the bullies come over and trash it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's easy. It establishes that he's both a nerd that gets bullied and he's a smart guy. In fact, what if the experiment he was working on was, like, the prototype webbing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that would
industrial
work.
strength, stretchy steel. I don't know.
And then we talked about this while we were watching it, but there's, he develops his first suit, and it looks really shitty. Then Uncle Ben dies, and he just has the new, really good one.
That bothered me.
It's weird, because I would imagine that he would have made something artistically good looking the first time,
Yeah.
unless he was just really hammering it out to get into the competition.
But he just kind of has this amazing suit
It's really good.
somehow.
Instantly.
What I really wanted from this Amazing Spider-Man film? I wanted this scene where... Because they kind of go into depth about his webbing and how it's like this really strong, stretchy material. I wanted
Yeah.
a scene of him in his room, up in the corner, building a web and building the suit at the same time. Just
Yeah.
him like doing this weird construction like a spider and just making the suit.
That'd be cool.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome.
But I think it does the same thing where it just kind of poofs out of existence.
Yeah,
It's like, I have a suit now.
It very much does.
I think... I keep being that guy's like, ooh, actually in the comics.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
But in the comics, I think Mary Jane makes his costume. Like, she makes his better costume for him.
I think you're right.
I think, at least in Ultimate Spider-Man, that's what happens.
I think you're right.
Because I know there's a part where they break up, and he damages his suit, and he can't fix it, because he doesn't have Mary Jane to help him, so he has this suit that keeps losing its one of the eyepieces.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
So
let's
let's talk about. We're gonna look at the IMDb score
Oh, boy.
and the Rotten Tomato score, and we're gonna see it because it's a little bit of a difference. IMDb has it at 7.3 out of 10, whereas The Metascore is pretty much the same. It's about 73, but
Yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 89%.
It does not deserve an 89.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that.
But I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is weird. It's not 89% out of 100 in terms of quality. It's 89% of critics thought it was above a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
But so on IMDb, it has the 7.5. I think I said 7.1 actually. I think it deserves a little bit more than that.
Really?
I liked it. Yeah, 7.3. But I think I would 7.5, maybe an 8. I think now it probably it hasn't aged well in a lot of instances. But I think at the time, probably a solid 8. I think.
I don't know. I never really thought of it in terms of giving it like a. Oh God. I feel great.
But I really enjoy it.
I haven't really thought about giving it a numerical score, but I think 5.5-ish is pretty good.
0.5 and 8.
It's not spectacular.
It's not amazing.
They kill me.
But it's really good.
It's pretty good.
And I think coming from a post-MCU, during MCU era where we're getting these multi-million-dollar, by multi, I mean $500 million out on average for budget. And this movie being made with probably a lot less than that.
What was the budget?
I don't know. Find out.
Less, for
a
sure.
lot less, but it for what it is, and for being kind of like the spark of the modern day superhero craze, I think it deserves a lot of credit, and especially because it made Spider-Man 2, which I really really like.
Yeah.
But,
even if X-Men came before it, I will argue that Spider-Man maybe did boost the superhero genre a bit more.
I think so,
because it's a bit more, I don't know, formulaic. Because it's a superhero, it's a character that it focuses on mostly. X-Men's great. I love X-Men, but they're a team of
X-Men
superheroes,
really
so the format's gonna be a bit different.
And it's just this one. I don't know. I really feel like they took a lot of inspiration from this when they made Iron Man 1. In terms of plot and character kind of motivations. And where would the MCU be right now if not for Iron Man 1? It probably wouldn't even exist.
It wouldn't. It just wouldn't.
If it hadn't taken off the ground or whatever. But this movie is really, I think, important for the superhero genre as a whole. And for that, and just I think it's really enjoyable. I just there are a couple scenes where it's like ugh. But
so if this movie is the springboard for the modern superhero genre, what was Spider-Man 3?
The start of the DC universe. They
Dark
took a
and
lot
edgy?
they took a lot. Actually, it probably is.
Oh God!
Because it's that tone, but instead of being fucking goofy, they took it seriously, and I mean it worked for Dark Knight.
I don't. Spider-Man 3 is going to be another episode, I'm sure, but
It'll probably be another 2.
God, it's a mess.
It's not great. You know what movie we should do next though?
What?
We should do the Punisher movie, 2004.
God, your favorite superhero.
Yeah, my favorite.
And maybe we'll end it there. All right.
Well, yeah.
I think that's about wraps it. Are you gonna edit any of this out?
No.
Can I stop recording now?
Okay. Tune in next time.
No, just